Mr. Zawadzki, you all ready over there, sir?
Yeah. Keep it pressed on the mic if you don't. Oh, it's on.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'd like to call the Cicero Jackson Township Planning Commission meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. With that, Mr. Zawadzki, would you do roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Dan Strong.
Present.
Wendy Gillespie.
Present.
Harrison Masani.
Present.
Dennis Schrumpf.
Present.
Dennis Johnson.
Present.
Jacob Everett. Let the record show that Jacob is absent. Mark Diller.
Present.
Mark Thomas.
Present.
Ford Hebner.
Present.
Aaron Culp, our legal counsel.
Present.
I am Frank Zawadzki, Plan Director. And good evening, Mrs. Strong, recording from home.
Okay, we do have a quorum this evening with 8 of the 9 members present, so thank you for being here. And with that being said, Mr. Culp, I believe you have an item you'd like to add to the agenda this evening. Do you want to do that under new business or under your presentation?
I would like to add that under new business.
Okay.
Actually, I think there are 2 items. There's also
There are 2 items.
the resolution for the rules of procedure.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of them is the amendment for the rule of procedure. This is the amendment we previously discussed about how letters will be handled during public hearings. The second is a resolution reacting to action by the Redevelopment Corporation, with the Cicero Redevelopment Corporation wanting to amend its plan to purchase some property. And I'll explain that in detail when we get to it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Culp. We will add those. I would look for a motion to amend their agenda.
So moved, Dennis Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Looking for a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Schrump. We have a motion and second to amend our agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Culp.
Thank you.
Moving on to public comment. This would be an opportunity for anyone in the public that's not on the agenda this evening that would like to address anything with the board. If so, step forward and please state your name and address for the records, please. Okay, seeing no one stepping forward, we'll continue on with business then. First order of business would be old business. That would be docket number PC 1225-16NC. And that is Antigua Italia. Close? Antigua. You know, I'm going to get this down one of these days.
You're fine.
I'll just have to keep coming to visit you until I get it, right? And the petitioners are Wendy Gilbert and Troy Reed, and that's 77 South Peru Street, and that's here in Cicero. This is an aesthetic review application, and if everyone remembers, they were here last year, and I believe it was December 10th of 2025, and did a presentation on their business and did a nice job with that. But they had some things they wanted to work out with aesthetics and some of those things to come back to the board and address those at a later date, and I believe they are here this evening to do so. So if I could get you to step forward to the podium, state your name and address for the records, and then tell us what you're proposing this evening or what you've changed and some of those things I know you've been working over the last few months.
Sure. My name is Troy Reed, address 10166 Holly Berry Circle, Fishers, Indiana.
And I'm Wendy Gilbert. Address is 10166 Holly Berry Circle, Fishers, Indiana. And I'm going to do a lot of the talking because it's design-based. I'm going to try to not turn red and get nervous like I normally do, but I probably will, so bear with me. I think we're a bit more, as things have moved along, we're a little more prepared, so we have a little bit of a packet. I wasn't able to get it to Frank until this evening. He has a lot of information already. But I think that the first thing that maybe we could look at would be the our signage. There's an example of a sign very close to what we're looking at in and on one of the pages we have, this one's kind of, and it would be wood instead of the copper, but that's kind of what we're looking at. 3 feet wide, 6 feet, maximum of 6 feet tall. We do need to look at the location for that we've discussed a few times with Frank and get that determined, but this gives you an example of that. And it would be our logo that's listed on the top page that we kind of passed around. So we would have that, and then also the signage, the vinyl signage that would go on the windows where the previous vendor had signage on the front windows, and those would be a max of 36 inches. So that's all within the previous variant. So we should be good to go on that. And then I don't know, do we want to talk about that location now and then move on to the fencing?
Well, before you move on, I think maybe a couple of quick questions,
Sure.
if that's okay, in
Yep.
order. So in your vinyl signage for the window, just for clarification, you said 36 inches? Was it 36 feet you meant, or was that actually 36 inches?
No, 36 inches for the there's 2 windows on each side of the doors, and it would have vinyl signage that's applied to those windows. I think before theirs was around 40, but
Okay.
based on the logo, ours would be
Thank you.
round, so that's what that would,
And then the last thing, just to clarify, your sign that you're speaking of, if I remember correctly from the last minutes, you're proposing a monument sign.
Yes.
So the one rendering, we would classify as a pole sign, which would not be allowed.
Okay.
So that's why I was clarifying that
Okay.
you're looking at a monument sign for the board's benefit.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
If you'd like to go ahead now, thank you.
So our location,
Our location, I have a note about this.
the struggle we're having with it is that it states we need to be 10 feet from the right-of-way, which would be the sidewalk, so it puts us,
Almost on the sidewalk that is that's in front of the building. It also, you can't see it because of the parking lot,
Sure.
yeah.
but once the cars are parked there. So
We're hopeful we don't have to get another variance for it, but we've got a couple spots that we've looked at with Frank, and so,
yeah, the amount of feet from street to the other edge of the sidewalk is 15 feet, right?
So I think the only thing I can say to that, we're looking at the aesthetics and what would be a conforming place that it could be placed. So if you decide you would need to encroach into the right-of-way or any of those things or that setback, then that would require approval through the BZA. This board cannot allow you to do that. So that would be, once you worked with Mr. Zawadzki on that, and I know you've had conversations around that, and I believe that was discussed at the meeting in December, if I remember the minutes correctly, that was spoken of.
It was, Mr. President, we had a location hammered out, and after we got together with the contractor, we realized there was not quite enough space. I thought I had that in this BZA packet from before. I don't see it in here, but they've decided that that location's really not gonna work for them. So we'd probably wanna discuss through the BZA, having a different location.
I just want them to be aware that, we'll look at it from aesthetics, and if you're going to place it someplace that we can approve, we certainly can look at it and do such, but if it requires, anything different from that, then that would require you to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a variance.
Absolutely.
sure.
Certainly.
Yes,
But we could pre-approve that contingent on
Maybe
variance.
just be, we
yes,
could show
thank you
them,
for that, Mr. Coe, yes.
You know, yeah, and we'd rather it be, so I'm not sure.
Thank you for adding that, that would be correct, yes, sir, thank you.
Pull this up.
Okay,
Yeah, and I think one of the purposes for this meeting was to show
Permission to be.
the material makeup of the signage as well. We did not have that ironed out
Sure.
exactly as well, so.
okay,
That's the other.
okay.
So why don't we just talk about the aesthetics of the sign?
Okay.
And we know you're probably going to be nervous, but don't be nervous, we'll
Okay.
work through all
Well,
this, okay?
since I've been a little kid, I just, I cried in speech class and, okay, so we will then move on to the fence, which we've got, it's going to be pine or cedar, so it'll be, we didn't bring a sample for obvious reasons, but, so that's going to surround the outdoor, Yeah, the outdoor
Coolers.
coolers. And then we'll have planter boxes that, I think we had samples, I've got it in the packet, but we would have 3 to 5 planter boxes with the appropriate foliage in it, plants in it. So in the packet I sent around, I think Frank maybe has a sampling as well. They're going to be cedar wood to match it, really, really pretty. For that one, we're all about making things look beautiful and matching,
The current aesthetic.
the
yeah.
current aesthetic. And the fence we're doing 8 feet tall, aren't we?
You got me on that one.
I think it has to be 8 foot tall.
Yeah, if that's what it was, and that's what it,
It does not have to be 8
I don't
feet tall,
remember.
but I believe that is the maximum height
Okay.
allowed.
Would you verify that, Mr. Zawadzki, and
Yes,
see if
sir.
it's
Working
6,
on that now.
in case it might be 6?
Okay.
yeah. She caught
That
me
would
off-
be
she
great.
Caught me off guard on that one.
That would be great, that would save us a little money, but
Yeah, 2 feet.
we will certainly adhere to the standards for that.
You generally don't mandate a set height, it's a maximum.
Okay.
Okay,
Great,
okay.
great.
Not be greater than 8 feet in height.
Then it'll probably be 6.
Okay.
I think if the plan commission would deem that effective screening, that would be okay.
Fantastic. Okay, so those are the two biggies, and then the planters that the planters and the fence that we showed for the photographs for the future would be the same material used for the outdoor seating for the deck. So we're looking at most likely the first of next year.
Yeah, we had originally thought it would be this year, but with some of the delays that we're currently having, we're really looking at that deck to be next year
Yeah.
as opposed to this year.
Unfortunately, but in the packet, we show, a sample of the seating, kind of what we're looking at. It's going to be minimal, 16 to 24 seats. I believe the location that we had looked at was, it's also in the packet. So it would be
To the right of the front door.
in this spacing here, so it's not it's not gonna be giant outdoor spacing, but it at least accommodates, getting some guests outside. And that we can revisit after the first of the year for, we just wanted to go ahead and mention that. And, we would have, umbrellas, the appropriate lighting, and then more the planter boxes that match the, planter boxes behind the fence. So, making it all coordinate together. And the striping of the parking lot and trees if required, that would be on the owner's expense, Scott Schuler. And he will, as soon as we get all the back area cleaned up from everything, then he will go in and do that piece.
Okay. So if I captured everything, basically, we're going to look at signage, going to look at your fence and your planter boxes. And then with the outdoor seating, then basically you just gave us a brief overview, and you will come back in the future for the aesthetic review on that, once you get that all ironed out.
Correct.
Would that be correct?
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. Questions, comment by board members at this point?
Well, Frank brought up the overhead, so that yellow line predominantly or approximately is the setback, I would think.
Well, that's technically, actually, that's the property line, but keep in mind, that's a GIS version.
Right.
So it can be off a little bit, and that little bit could be potentially up to a couple of feet, I would think, so.
So I guess the question is, where were you thinking the monument sign would be
Right.
better placed?
Can I?
Yes, certainly.
So, ideally, so currently, well, there's no sign there now, but obviously whenever this picture was taken, there is a sign there. From the street to this side of the sidewalk is approximately 15 feet. But if we're saying we have to do 10 feet from the sidewalk, that puts us right here, right next to this sidewalk, to our sidewalk. So what we're hoping to be able to accomplish is a sign that's approximately in that location, which is about 18 feet, 18 to 20 feet in that general area right there.
And it could set back more.
Yeah, and it could,
Or this direction.
and set back another foot or two from where that one was located. Was located. I
There
think that
would
was
just
the
be a
sale
park,
sign.
there would be a parking, this would be a parking space.
Yeah, the difficulty is, the difficulty, of course, is if you're coming 10 feet off the sidewalk and the sign is in this area, any cars that are parked here, traffic coming this way, the sign is hard to see. It's also very close up to the building, just for visibility purposes. Makes it a little more difficult.
Sure. Other questions, comments?
I guess I have one further. When we're talking about fence height, you were talking about covering up or explaining the cooler area.
Yeah, correct.
How high are the coolers that you'd be covering
Well,
up
the
to?
coolers are 8 feet. So the coolers, if we remember, there's a cooler here, and there's a cooler here. The fence will be approximately,
Where Frank's got the,
yeah, the fence will be just a few feet off of those coolers, so at 6 feet, your line of sight is almost going to cover visually the top of the cooler, right? And of course, there are slats, there's open slats between, so it's not a complete cover-up of the coolers. But we've also talked about potentially, this cooler's silver, that cooler's white. I don't know if that means anything to anybody. It's not a particular eyesore once the fencing goes up.
Yep. No, I was just
Yeah.
bringing it up because the concern naturally is 8-foot max, but somewhere between 6 and 8 might make sense too.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can, with the contractor, when it comes to that time, I know it's gonna be, I can say this, it's gonna be at least 6. And
yeah,
it might be 8.
Sure.
But yeah, we could go out there with a couple posts and visually kind of take a look at that and see if we do want to go the extra foot or two. For our own protection, if nothing else.
And keep in mind, since this is going through aesthetic review, the board can, if they want an 8-foot fence, ask for an 8-foot fence, so. Or it can be a 6, or you can allow up to an 8-foot fence, or they can work with Mr. Zawadzki and make a decision someplace between the 6 and 8 if the board would like. But there is options there as far as what that fence height can be, so.
Or you could even make it tall enough to completely conceal the freezers, as long as it's not taller than 8 feet.
Yeah.
That'd be an option.
Thank you, Mr. Coe. So back to your, I'm sorry, other comments, questions, board members, before I ask one here? But in regards back to your monument sign?
Mhm.
So can you go back to that, Mr. Zawadzki, please?
Whoops.
So I'm going to guess this is not exactly what it's going to look like?
Correct.
Okay. So you'll work with Mr. Zawadzki that it will be a monument sign? And then your intent, it will be made out of, just for the records, it'll all be
It'll be
cedar?
the black metal and then cedar.
Okay,
With this logo.
Yep.
With that logo.
saw that. Thank you. Any other comments?
Did you say earlier you were gonna make it out of copper?
They said they were not.
Okay, it would not be copper.
That's gonna be 3 feet wide and 6 feet tall.
That's what I said, or is it the opposite?
Well, theirs is, ours.
Yeah, ours is vertical, that one's a horizontal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I heard that too.
And the the vertical would be better for us visually anyway for, so.
Yeah, on the vertical, I would just watch, there's an intersection right there on State Road 19, so if you go too far out towards the sidewalk and that truck is sat back, just line of sight, right, if you're checking the left hand, car's oncoming, right, so.
Correct.
Pine was mentioned somewhere along the line for fencing. I don't know that I can dictate material, but cedar would probably last a lot longer with less maintenance and would probably look better over time, so that'd be my just recommendation. I had a really hard time following. Is there screening going on the deck eventually, or is that deck just an aesthetic review down the road?
It's a static review down the road.
Okay, cool.
And I know you had concerns about that back in December, about railing and things, if
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
correctly, so.
And then on the cooler fencing, my opinion would be, if the intent is the screen the coolers would be to cover the coolers. I'm 6'4", so if it's a 6-foot fence, I'm probably going to see it no matter what. But then being in the town, it's more of a preference. Like you're either looking at an 8-foot cooler or an 8-foot fence. I don't know that one makes a difference. There's a 10-foot fence or something shading a pool right now on State Road 19. So I don't know how tall it is. How tall is that fence?
On Brittany?
That shades the above ground pool off 19 on the
Oh,
west
I
side.
don't know. It's
Think-
pretty tall.
Pretty tall,
That was
yeah.
done before my time. I bet that is 10
So,
feet.
yeah.
I think they got a variance for that, if I remember. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't remember for sure on that one, so I'm not going out on that limb because I don't remember for sure. But I understand what you're saying. That would have been nicer, that would have been screened more for sure, so. So are you suggesting that it's an 8-foot fence that we consider then?
I think if we're putting it up to screen the units, I think that it should screen the units. So if
Okay.
it's 6.5 feet or 7 feet, I don't know what that does to your material, but it's, at the end of the day, it's still an 8-foot fence. We're looking at an 8-foot flat wall of something. So if we're going to try to screen it, we should screen it. Otherwise, I don't know that we even screen it.
So am I hearing up to 8 feet to match whatever the height that the cooler is? Okay.
In my opinion, I'm not a super board. My opinion.
I agree with that, because if you're standing right there at 6 feet, you might not be able to see it, but if you're anywhere coming up to it or whatever, so I like the tall part, at least 8 feet.
I think, Mr. Thomas, the last time you had some concerns about placement of the planters. So, but I think that was in regards to maybe on that deck area, if I remember.
Yeah, that's correct.
So I just wanted to make sure that you're okay with that.
I did not understand either where they, how far they were gonna go out with the privacy fence or the fence there, but it doesn't look like you're planning on doing any fence in the front at all.
No.
So, that's just right along the side there, so. And they're gonna come back for a second review.
Yes, for the deck.
You get your final for the deck.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, so what I captured was that the sign will be a monument sign, and then we're approving the window signs as described. 2 of those 36 inches, if I remember correctly, but I know there was some little bit of latitude in that. They were approved for some previous signage as well, if I remember correctly.
They have several variances to exceed the number of signs, the square footage of signs. They'd have to put an awful lot of signage to exceed what's
Yeah.
already been relieved through process of variance.
But I think our expectations would be what you're telling us you're going to do this evening is what we're going to review and approve for signage and some of those things. So I just want to clarify that. So
Sure.
we're approving your monument sign, we're approving your window signs. Needless to say, you'll have probably some hours on your door and some of those
Yes.
things for informational purposes, so.
Correct.
And then on that, in regards to the fence, discussion around the 8 feet, it sounds like that the board would like to see a height to match the cooler of 8 feet to make sure that's screened properly, and that the fence would be cedar. Is everyone in agreement with that?
And did I hear you say that the sign will be the same material as the fence?
Cedar, yes.
Yes.
correct.
And then the planter boxes would fine because they'll match everything else, so.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You guys are really nice people, but it'd be really nice if you could build your business and not coming back here for approvals. So if you come back for this deck review, is there anything else that you could think of? Or in the meantime, just think through it all, come back one solid time.
Sure.
Just save you guys some time and get this thing opened. That'd be my opinions. Like this plan, the deck plan that I saw, I know you're coming back to review that.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think it looks pretty solid. I'd put some like dimensions on there. For me, that might help me when you guys come back.
Okay.
So dimensionally, just,
Sure.
some detail, or at least be prepared, I guess, for questions. And then anything else, I guess, Frank, if you have guidance to help them so they don't have to come back, no offense. But I think you guys want to do your business and get open, so.
And I think, that's a fair request for all of us, and especially for you, because I know the question would come up whether you're going to have rails on the deck and some of those things, height of your deck, and if I remember correctly, you had I think it was one step up, but, identify those particular things, and then also whatever you want to use for color, umbrellas, and those type things. The more you can bring us in that
Okay.
avenue, it'll save us asking you 100 questions.
Sure, sure.
And then also, we'll know exactly what we're approving, and that saves time, because the worst thing we want to do is ask you to come back again and, show us other things. I know
Absolutely.
that delays progress for you, and we don't want to be in that situation at all, so.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And as far as the deck and the fencing and the signage in the winter, we were kind of just scrambling to get the pieces and parts of the insides and kind of get it rolling, and so we failed on that, and we apologize. And as far as the deck, we're kind of like, okay, let's get open, let's get our signage and our fence, and then we'll get the details nailed out. So we do apologize. We don't mean to be wasting any of your time, but,
Oh.
And I don't take that as me saying, I don't want you coming in here on your evenings because of reviews that we require. So I want to make sure you give it all your best shot. So you're not coming in here when you've got stuff I'm sure that you guys want to be doing. So we'll be in here no matter what. So
We have a meeting once a month, and as we told you, that's one of the things, we wanted to give you the opportunity to go back and do all of this without coming back and, having the additional expenses and some of those things. So, it was a learning process for us also, but you're the first one we've allowed to come back and not charge that separate fee and stuff. So we want to make sure, your business is successful and that we're business friendly as well. So no inconvenience to us at all. We're here once a month at a minimum, so.
well, we appreciate it.
No, thank you.
And when are you looking, where is this opening?
That is the million-dollar question.
We hope late
We get a heads
June.
up.
We hope late June. We're hoping for late June. We really need to be open we need to be open 3 months ago, but late June, hopefully, if not, 1st of July.
I'm just going by what the contractor
Yeah.
tells us.
He's telling us late June, so we're like, okay.
And delays happen, people aren't available when you need them.
Yeah, we had some
Things-
struggles with Duke
Thing-
Energy
Things happen.
and that put us back about 8 weeks. But anyway, we're excited, so thank you for asking that. We're just keeping our fingers crossed and
As soon as
excited
possible.
about it, so.
So with that, then we would have a motion, and I think we want to capture in the motion, if I'm not mistaken, then that it will be a monument sign, and they'll work with Mr. Zawatsky on the sign, that the board is asking for a cedar fence, 8 feet tall. And I think those are the commitments that we would want to include in our motion.
You ready for me?
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, Harrison Masani here, moving, am I approving this? Moving to approve docket number PC-1225-16-NC with the following conditions and notes. It is going to be a monument sign that will match the rest of the wood as what was noted as cedar. There will be some window signs that will be within the ordinance amount. Fencing and screening at units to height required to provide said screening, I would say to match the unit height. And then no comments on the planter boxes. I think they are fine. Did I miss anything?
No, sir. Thank you, Mr. Masani. Looking for a second.
Wendy Gillespie, second time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gillespie. So we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Gillespie, you'll go first.
Approved.
Okay. Mr. Masani?
Approved.
Mr. Shrimp?
Approved.
Mr. Johnson?
Approved.
Mr. Diller?
Approved.
Mr. Thomas?
Approved.
Mr. Hebner?
Approved.
And Dan Strong, I approve. So you're approved for everything. And if you would continue to work with Mr. Zawatsky, we would appreciate it. We'll look forward to you getting your business open. I drive by there quite often. I always glance over to see the status and how things are moving. So we'll look forward to you getting open and seeing what you've done.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
So,
Yeah,
thank you.
so
Wish you much success.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to new business, docket number PC-26-07-AG. Petitioner is Ryan Horine with Hamilton County Emergency Operations and Beck Family LP. This is for address at 0 US Highway 31 North, Atlanta, Indiana. This is a aesthetic review application concerning Article 5 of Aesthetic Review Overlay District for the property located at that address of 0 US Highway 31 North in Atlanta, Indiana. Sir, if you'd state your name, address for the record.
Mr. President, Mark Thomas, I'll have to recuse myself for this.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Thomas. Appreciate that. Let the record show that Mr. Thomas has recused himself and he is leaving the table for now. So with that being said, sir, if you would state your name and address for the record, please, and tell us what you're proposing.
Sure. My name is Ryan. Last name is Horine, H-O-R-I-N-E. I serve as the project manager for the Office of Emergency Operations in Hamilton County. That is essentially 3 divisions that you may know as 911 Communications, the Office of Emergency Management, and Public Safety Training. Before you today is our request for the aesthetic overlay review for a proposed new public safety radio tower, which is located on 281st Street in Jackson Township, between US 31 to the west and approximately Anthony Road to the east. We have made our initial visit to the BZA. We received a favorable vote there in the months past. And now we come today for the aesthetic review here to the Area Planning Commission. We let some time lapse there so that we could make sure the application was complete and what we thought you would be looking for. We received some pretty sound advice there, so I think we've included it in our proposal, in our packet, and quite frankly, you guys were a little busy there for a few months, so give you some time, give us some time to get some things done. And so again, this is a 250-foot radio tower. It is located on the north side of 281st Street, just east of US 31. There is a drain that runs kind of in a east-west, and then it also goes to the south on the east side of this particular area. So in front of you is a bunch of blue dots, and that represents approximately where the radio tower would sit. Also the perimeter fence and a generator unit in case the utility power was lost. And then also accompanying those types of things is a small shelter house, is what we would call it, and that's essentially where the guts of the system are stored at. And so those are needed in order to make everything work. So this particular drawing in front of you, again, just outlines some of those specific things that I think you're most concerned about. The proposal includes a perimeter fence, obviously around the radio tower. So we're concerned about people getting on it, trying to climb the radio tower, doing things that are would be harmful to themselves and others. And so a perimeter fence is needed. We did recognize that your requirement here in this area was for a vinyl fence, which is something that is different for us. Of all of our structures that we have that span 2 counties. We have radio towers in 2 counties. This would be our first vinyl fence, but we can make it work. And so this one is a 5-foot tall vinyl fence. It does have like a metal exoskeleton, if you will. The inside, what you don't see from the street is it's reinforced so that when you come up to it, you can't necessarily push it over or try to. It would take you a little bit to get over it, if you will. But it meets your requirement or your desire to have it as a vinyl fence, and so aesthetically, that's what you'll see. It does show the proposal for the site and how it would look. So it's wrapped with some landscaping, bush, shrub type material. It does have a swing gate on the south side of the property that allows us to access, to bring equipment into the compound or to refuel the generators. The generator only runs when we lose utility power, and the only exception to that is we exercise those. So in order to make sure they work when there's no utility power, you have to exercise them, and thus you use fuel, so you have to bring a fuel truck in on occasion. So that gate allows us to access the site moving forward. This shows that obviously the triangle is the radio tower. To the right of it is what you would call the shelter house, and then to the south is the generator. That is the basic site layout as it stands. I think there's any other things there that I can point out. Again, this is just for your measurements that you may want. This kind of shows what the site overall looks like. I think we might have got your measurements for you. Nothing there that I think is worthwhile. This on the left-hand side shows the overall height, and so I said it's 250 foot. That is the actual structure. It does go 254 foot because there is components that we mount at the very tip of the radio tower that takes it up another 4 foot, grounding specifically. Nothing that this is going to be we were encouraged to include the signage that we would have. So we are bound with some certain FCC requirements that we have to post certain information on the outside. This is pretty atypical. If you, again, drove to any of our sites now, you would see some similar package to this. And some of these are just regulatory required signs that we have to put up. So if somebody drives by, they know what our tower number is and they have a telephone number that they can call. That's kind of what you're seeing there. This would have an aggregate base, a gravel base, if you will, for the pad, the compound that it would sit on, and the driving portion of it. This is just the detail work of that. This is the detail work of the proposed tree slash shrubbery slash bushes that would line the edges of this. I think that's what you were looking for.
That's it.
And I believe that's really it on the packet. The only thing additional that I would tell you is there's 3 homes on 281st Street on this stretch of road. There is a drain that is a county drain on the north side. Again, it runs east-west and then comes down on the south. That eventually hooks into the Little Cicero Creek, and basically between 276 and 281st. So this tower is going to kind of nestle up in the corner of this piece of property. And obviously, we're still maintaining the right-of-ways for any work that needs to happen in the drains. We're not compromising that. And I can answer some mostly nerd questions you might have about a radio tower. Anybody wants to know anything?
That's good. On your RF hazard sign,
Yeah.
does that imply that the frequency could be beyond the fence higher than FCC allows? Or does it transmit outside that higher?
Well, there's always a certain level of exposure with any type of radio. And so this is just your regulatory warning sign saying that the site emits exposure. It's the best way I can describe that to you. Any type of a radio you're going to have some exposure. That's your lower left-hand corner. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah,
But that's referring to the area inside the fence.
Yeah. That's correct. It's high inside the fenced area.
okay, but out here, it's not gonna be transmitting anything
No.
above the FCC, okay,
Just your normal exposure.
okay.
Other comments, questions?
What kind of fencing do you normally see?
Metal.
Just chain?
Chain link. We have one site that has chain link with plastic slats. We have one site that is 3 sides. It's 3 sides metal or chain link, and one side like cedar board. We have another site that's cedar board. It's at a school. So this is our first vinyl. We have a combination of the other typicals. This is our first vinyl. You have another one. You have one on the 256th Street tower. That's the first time I've seen that on a radio tower. But
So from a safety standpoint, you had mentioned the safety of it. So in regards to the 5-foot fence, do you feel that's adequate? And the reason I'm asking that is I think you would have the latitude, not that you want to do 2 fences,
sure.
but I think our ordinance would allow you to have a wire fence inside of that with the,
Yeah.
the, whatever you call the metal on the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but you still would need to screen it somehow additionally, and that's the reason I'm bringing that up. And it's certainly something we'll have to look at in the future as we look at our ordinances in the near future, so.
So I think if you went out to the other site and you did this, you would go, Just to give you an idea. And so our goal was that you couldn't do this.
And we appreciate that.
And so, and there's not really any block out there. It's in the middle of nowhere, so we don't have a wind block. Giving us a little bit of structure on the inside of it might make it withstand a little bit longer, right? Might cost us less at the end of the day if we put something that's going to blow away or bend over because there's no wind block. It's not serving anybody any good. So for us, we just did an exoskeleton inside of it, and then we're hanging the vinyl essentially on the outside. And that, I think, will be okay there. We have other security measures that we can take. So internally, I mean, we'll know if someone's there.
Okay, good.
And so I think we're satisfied with that on our end. So it just, like I said, for us, it was just something, it was unique. We hadn't experienced it yet, but that height is that height is not unusual.
Okay, thank you for
Yeah.
that. And I think I noticed you have 35 plantings, if I counted those ahead of the meeting, so it looks like you have nice screening around that fence too to make that look very nice, so.
Yes, we will try to keep those alive in the middle of nowhere. We'll do our best. If we don't, you let me know.
And that probably brings up a question for Mr. Culp, and this is just thinking to the future, and I don't know if we need to answer this evening, but in a particular case, when we have a situation of a tower today, what we would consider out in the middle of nowhere, would the board have the opportunity to allow them to do the shrubs and stuff in the future based upon if there was a subdivision that was going to be built next to that tower? So they could delay that process?
Yes, to the extent that we're only dealing with an aesthetic requirement. If we're dealing with plantings that are required under the development standards, we would need to talk to the BZA.
Okay,
But if we're just talking about purely aesthetic, then we could certainly say, we'll delay this until there's development or put a condition or something like that.
okay, thank you. Just, something that was brought up, and I thought, well, I should ask the question, because, we may have a situation that it's out no place, and again, to your point of trying to keep things alive might not be the best scenario, so,
And it might be a good idea, because as everyone knows, we're getting ready to go through our ordinances.
yes, sir.
To eliminate, we could modify that so we don't force someone to get a variance for that delay. We could set that up where there would be an approval outside of that setting if we want to.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Coe.
I was going to say, can I add to
Sure.
2 seconds? In this occasion, a couple challenges. We'll have a water source there, challenge number 1. Challenge number 2 is picking the right material so that it lasts unlimited to no water, right? I mean, so we had to make a conscious selection to make sure we were putting in the right greenery that can survive that. And then also, I made a flippant comment, said trying to keep it alive, but that's the reality is, right, we're going to have somebody, the contractor, go out for a period of time to make sure that they root and take hold. We're probably in a position to do that. Some people may not be.
Sure, well understood.
What did you find works well?
I don't know. We hired they hired a landscaper specifically to make sure that we passed this for you. So I could probably come back later and tell you what they picked, but we told them that there's no water source readily available.
Regarding future,
Go ahead.
and I can talk about this later, I would say that with that, I think we need to be careful. I know that there's a neighborhood in Westfield where, around where the commercial warehouses are, and there's a pond on the side of it, and you look out the back door and you see the commercial buildings. How it's written is that when the next building goes up, then the fence has to go up. And that hurt the neighborhood a bit, because it would be a lot better on the other side of the pond. It would be great if that was up now. So it's a lot that there is. So I would just be careful, or that we should be cognizant of it and kind of keep that in mind, that if it's like, yeah, but then when it's developed, then how soon after and
Sure.
that kind of thing.
Well, it was something that came up I thought I should ask, and as we're going to start working through our ordinances, just to throw that out so we don't forget it maybe for the future, and some of the conversations that we're having tonight and some of the thoughts that you're giving us as well, so.
I mean, we're cognizant. The reason that this tower is going there is because the growth is there. And so 11 or 12 years ago, we would have told you we thought this one would have needed to go in Wayne Township.
Okay.
But that growth isn't necessarily what this growth is on the west side. And so that US 31 corridor, for us, you're changing the style of construction, right? So you're going from a light metal barn type structure, a wood structure with a metal roof. You're going from that to concrete walls that have rebar in them, That's really challenging for us to get a radio signal inside that building. You're going from a 2-story wood farmhouse that might have a metal roof on it to, 3-story, 2-story homes with a full basement. Again, the style of construction is changing, and so when we look at it on where we put radio towers in the county, if I put a map up, you would see a real heavy sprinkling along the south side. Well, obviously, when you get south of 216th Street, now it's going to look like an L now because it's coming up that US 31 corridor. But 11 years ago, about 216th was a kind of a line.
Sure.
And so for us, that's how we pick where they're at. So today, it's in the middle of nowhere per se, but a reasonable person would say in a matter of time, there's going to be all kinds of stuff there. And so in order for us to get a radio signal inside of those types of buildings or structures, that's kind of why we needed it strategically placed there. We would have taken the other side of the road initially, but we were bound by an airport that we now own as well. And so we can't get too close to that. So that's, you spend a lot of time trying to figure out exactly where it's going to go. So could we have got it closer to another building? Potentially, but it may not have had the same effects for us. And the effects for us is a strong radio signal so that the police officers and firefighters' radios work inside of a building.
Sure.
That's what we're trying to achieve here.
Okay, thank you. Other comments by board members?
So one of the main reasons is strength of signal.
That's right.
And so from that, it sounds like it creates like a mesh type network almost, that's a Wi-Fi type signal. But
Yeah.
whereas that way the strength of signal works off whichever towers makes sense from that location.
So it votes, the system votes, and it says, I think the coverage at this tower is better than this one, and so it'll receive or broadcast off of this tower. And again, as that style of construction changes, it looks for the best. Well, the best may just in fact be this one, or it may be a 630-foot tower in Noblesville. So it all depends on, it's voodoo magic. It's it's exactly where you're standing and what side you're standing. On one of those, that drawing right there, you'll see where it says like an A post, a B post, or a C post on the triangle.
Yep.
And so we can literally take a measurement on the AC side that'll be stronger than the AB side. As ridiculous as that is, we may stand right underneath that tower and have no radio coverage. So we have to do other things in order to increase that radio coverage in those instances. So we're building a new office in Noblesville that's 25 yards from a 650-foot radio tower, and it creates essentially what they call a cone of silence. And so underneath the tower, it has challenges. And so we have to do things to boost the signal inside those buildings. And I only tell you that is that it does take some time to think through these things, but as that style of construction changes and as that population drives, this is how we fix it, is things like this. And so we have these again in 2 counties. That's directly what supports the radio system here in this county for all the public safety, our school districts, things like that are on this system.
Well, I think unless the board would feel different, I think you've done a nice job of addressing all of our standards and putting this together, and so.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? If not, then I would look for a motion. Or is there any conditions anyone would want? Okay. Okay. That being said, I'd look for a motion all of our motions are in the affirmative, so.
Mr. Chairman, Dennis Trump, I move that we approve docket number PC-0526-07-AG, the radio tower for the Hamilton County Emergency Operation.
Thank you, Mr. Schrump. Looking for a second?
The second, Dennis Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote. With that being said, Mr. Schrump?
Approve.
Mr. Johnson?
Approve.
Mr. Dillon?
Approve.
Mr. Thomas?
Refuse.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Thank you. Mr. Hebner?
Approve.
Mrs. Gillespie?
Approve.
Mr. Masani?
Approve.
And Mr. Strong, I will approve, so you are approved. And thank you. Again, you did a very nice job putting this together, and thank you. If you'll continue to work with Mr. Zawatsky, we would appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
our people will be in touch. We'll figure it
Okay.
out.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. With that, Mr. Thomas, would you like to rejoin? Let the record show that Mr. Thomas rejoined. Okay, moving on to rules and procedures. Do you want to address those, Mr. Culp?
Yes. If everyone will recall, we had a discussion at our last meeting. During the COVID pandemic, we adopted a modified set of rules. They was never amended into a rules of procedure. It was just a ad hoc process where we began to read letters aloud, knowing that it was harder for people to attend the meetings. We started reading out letters, and that way people could hear what was being said. And we've never terminated that, even though we're back to everything functioning the way it used to be. And so we decided to eliminate the public reading of letters, particularly because we know on some of these larger projects, we can have dozens of letters, and in a couple instances, we have an hour or more of letters to read. And so in order to try to accommodate things, I have put together this resolution, and this reflects the changes the board advised me that they wanted. One is that in our notice, it's going to say that interested parties may offer an oral opinion at the hearing or file written comments prior to 10 a.m. on the Monday immediately preceding the day of the hearing. And so that, just as we discussed, they have till 10 a.m. that Monday, and that allows our staff time to get it together and send out those arrivals to the members of the Planning Commission and also to post it. The second change is I added a section describing the written comments to try to do that more detailed beyond what just goes in our notice. And again, if they submit their written comments 10 days or more in advance so that we have it before we send out your packets, the written comments will go out to you the same time as the packet. Now, if they don't miss that, but they get to us by 10 a.m. that Monday, there will be a second batch that will get sent to you directly. All of it will be posted so the public can see exactly what sort of feedback we got online. And that was my understanding of what the board wanted to see. Other than that, all the rules of procedure are unchanged by this. And so if this looks acceptable, then it would be ready for approval.
And so with that, then the other page there that's headed letters and emails. So if you would look at that, that is basically what we would put on the listserv for everyone to see that how we're moving forward, how we're going to handle letters and emails. Also, that will go on the town website. And then that also states there, just for clarification, it does have Planning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals. The Board of Zoning Appeals has not approved their portion of this yet. So if they would want to go with a different version or something, we would remove that Board of Zoning Appeals out of this particular one. But we wanted to give you sort of a draft to look at. So you would have, I know it was brought up, what are we going to put on the website? What are we going to put on listserv? So this is what it would look like. Also addressed it in there, someone had brought up the holiday falls on a Monday. What we would do, it's addressed in there that they still have the opportunity to get that in by Tuesday, and by 1 o'clock, anything would be posted on the list or by 1 o'clock on that Tuesday after a holiday, because no one would be there on a Monday to post those things. So I think it addressed everything that we spoke about, and Mr. Culp did a nice job of putting that together, and we came up with the letters, the emails, and those things, and then, of course, we would tweak the legal notice, working with Mr. Zawatsky on that. The other piece of it is that it would be set up that all the letters and emails that was brought up at that meeting also would go to a separate email versus everything going to Mr. Zawatsky and clouding up all of the 100 emails that he gets in a week or in a day sometimes. So it would go to a separate one, and we would determine what that is, but that would be included in the legal notice as well, so everyone would know where that goes to. So I think that captured everything that we had spoken about in February and addressed all the conversations that we had there.
Well, and I would say that the BZA has done the same thing the Plan Commission did, which is they've orally said this is what they want, and their meeting is next week, and I will be presenting a BZA version of these rules.
Thank you, Mr. Culp. I just wanted to clarify, we don't speak for them, and,
Sure.
you know, they'll review this information as well.
Just one point of clarification. I like the way this is worded in that, but I had just clarification that if you would get an email on the day of the meeting, like if you got one this morning for tonight's meeting, that would be ignored. Nothing would be mentioned about that. Would that be correct?
That would be,
As I understand it, yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm just point of clarification. I have no problem with that, because if people wait till the last minute, I'm sorry, you know.
and that was part of making sure that the board received all the information prior to the
Right.
meeting and had the opportunity to review it. But then also to make sure that, you know, as much as we could, to be transparent, that we got everything out that we could to the residents and the public, so they had an opportunity to see what the board was reviewing also. It certainly doesn't mean they can't come to the meeting that night and, you know, address the board and hand us something, but the intent was they would not be able to walk in at the last minute and hand Mr. Zawatsky something with the expectation it came to the board.
Yeah, because we wanted to,
Presentation, yeah.
yeah, the board had indicated wanted to avoid getting there that night, and you've got 8 new letters to read.
Right,
Right when the
right.
meeting's starting.
Right.
So any other comments or questions? If not, then I would look for a motion to approve the resolution and allow me to sign it.
Mr. President, Dennis Trump, I move that we approve the resolution adopting amendments to the rules of procedure.
Thank you, Mr. Shrimp.
Second to that, Harrison Masani.
Thank you, Mr. Rosani. So with that, we'll do the roll call vote again. So, Mr. Hebner.
Approved.
Mr. Thomas.
Approved.
Mr. Dillard.
Approved.
Mr. Johnson.
Approved.
Mr. Shrimp.
Approved.
Mr. Masani.
Approved.
Mrs. Gillespie. And Dan Strong, I approve. And thank you, everyone, and thanks for everyone's hard work on getting us to this point, that we have an ordinance and it's in our rules and procedures now, and we know where we're moving forward and what we're going to do and not do, and then the public will be aware also. So, Mr. Culp, moving on to the RDC, or Redevelopment Commission, action that we need to take this evening. Would you like to address that, sir?
Yes, sir. I handed out 2 resolutions. The one entitled Resolution of the Cicero-Jackson Plan Commission is the one that you are voting to approve. But part of that approval is based on this resolution from the Cicero Redevelopment Commission, which was adopted at their meeting earlier tonight. If you go in the one that's for the Cicero RDC, on page 3 there is a map. What this is Cicero is looking to acquire well sites for future water production wells, a potential site for a water treatment plant, and a water tower. This is not one for the immediate future. This is more their plan that in 10 to 20 years, if they need additional capacity, rather than waiting, so they go through what they have over the last couple of years searching for water, they want to have this on deck so that the next time they need more capacity, it's there. This land is located off of 216th Street, south of the town's current boundaries. However, it does intend to be actually annexed into the town by the property owner. The town is not buying the entirety of the parcel. The town is looking to buy just the parts indicated, which are 4 well sites, a large site where they would put a tower, potentially, and a water treatment plant. And in the green are easements, and that is so they could run the water that is produced by the wells, the raw water, to the treatment plant. This land is currently zoned, some of it is zoned commercial, some of it is zoned residential at present time. The town is not looking to, it's not making a change to its plan beyond, under the laws that govern a TIF district. In order to spend TIF funds on something like this, it has to be added to the acquisition list for property that the TIF and Redevelopment Commission wants to acquire. And so, in order to do that, they have to go through this somewhat convoluted process where the Redevelopment Commission approves an initial declaratory resolution, which is what this is, stating their interest in acquiring this and adding it as to the acquisition list for the RDC and the TIF district. And then the Plan Commission has to sign off on it, that it jives with the development plan for the area, and that it doesn't have an objection. Then it goes to the town council on Tuesday night for their approval. And then the Redevelopment Commission has to advertise and hold a public hearing with at least 10 days notice, again, to formally amend to acquire. They're not making this part of the TIF district. They're not changing anything other than that they want to use TIF funds to buy this rather than using other funds. And the only way they can do that is if it's added to the acquisition list. And so this entire amendment is built around them being able to spend TIF money to acquire this portion of the real estate. I believe I stated in there the total real estate, it's approximately 9.2 acres that they would be buying. I believe that between these three lots, there's 60 acres worth of property. And then there's another 5.1 acres worth of easement. And as you look at this site, you can see that there's already a lot of utilities that run through this area. You've got a pipeline, you've got a county regulated drain, you've got Duke power lines and other things that run through there. But the important part as far as the town's concerned is, you know, most things you can locate anywhere you can get real estate that works, but water, you have to go where there's water. And the town has done test wells on this site and verified that there's excellent water there. And so while the immediate future, we're going to be building a new plant and wells to the east of town, this is the long term so that we're ahead in the game whenever that capacity becomes necessary. Are there any questions or anything?
Mr. Culp, for a resolution number, I see that we didn't give it one. So do
Ms.
you-
Gary asked me to have it assigned R-05-13-2026-02PC.
Okay, so that's R-05-13-2026-02PC.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Questions or comments on the resolution? And with the motion of approval, or include that I'm allowed to sign that, if you would, please.
Make a motion to approve resolution R-05-13-2026-02PC, and President Strong be allowed to sign that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Okay, looking for a second.
Mr. President, Mark Diller, I second that.
Thank you, Mr. Diller. Okay, we have a resolution in front of us. With that, Mr. Johnson.
Approve.
Mr. Shrimp.
Approved.
Mr. Masani.
Approved.
Mrs. Gillespie.
Approved.
Mr. Diller.
Approve.
Mr. Thomas.
Approved.
Mr. Hebner.
Approved. Nice done.
And I approve.
Thank you very much.
So, no, thank you. Okay, and there's no other new business. We will move on to Plan Director's Report. Mr. Zalotsky.
Good evening, Plan Commission. I have here in front of me the most recent version of the Director's Report. This is for April of 2026. Permit revenue for the month of April 2026 was $7,521. Brings us up to a year-to-date of $42,011. At this same time last year, April of 2025, we were at $5,214 for the month and $14,652 for the year. That's a difference for the month of April of plus $2,307 and a plus for the year as well of $27,359. We issued a total of 44 building permits for April 26. 30 were for within the corporate limits, no new homes there. We issued another 14 out in Jackson Township and 1 new home out there. We also issued 6 right-of-way permits or extensions in total. Estimated cost of these projects permitted was $956,869. Let's see, next BZA meeting is scheduled here to Town Hall, 7 p.m. from May 21st, 2026. We will meet and we do have items on the agenda. In other news, we paused Frontier installation on 2 permits this month to allow the utility guys to keep up with their spring tasks. We also had a request from the council to modify the boxes that they're using. Had a discussion with Frontier and they did agree readily to use only flush mount boxes. So that was real cooperative of them and easy to do too. Also throughout the month, I attended the Han Suburban Housing Conference last month to discuss changing housing needs across the region. Interesting and informative. That is my report. Anybody have any questions for me? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Zawatsky. Okay. Anything for Mr. Zawatsky? Does everyone understand what he was talking about on the handhold boxes and why that change was being made?
I do want to say that our neighborhood gets a lot of Facebook feedback on the fiber stuff. I called Frank the other day. I don't know if he gets more calls than that. They're placing boxes basically between every house, which is crazy, but it's a utility and I don't think there's anything to do about it. So there's a lot of movement. If you aren't in Tamarack and you want to go see it, feel free.
And it's about the 3rd or 4th time in a 12-month period they've been out there.
So thank you, Frank, for dealing with that and permitting it all. And
Well, I can attest to Mr. Zawatsky, Mr. Cooper, and everyone's received a lot of calls and been out and visited the community many times and dealing with the residents as well as the town council has as well. So I think we've all been involved in answering questions and trying to make things better for the future. And we continue to learn, and I'm sure we'll go back and modify some of the things in the permitting process based on what we've learned through this particular cycle of people working in everyone's yards and some of the things that's happened. So. Okay, moving on to President's Report. So I had a couple of quick things there. I'll call them quick compared to some of the other things this evening. But one of the things we've been talking about was moving forward with ordinances. And I think, after having some conversations and internally with Mr. Culp and some of those things, moving those back to probably closer to the first of the year of enacting those actual ordinances based upon getting a consulting firm online, but then also knowing what may be some particular changes coming with House Bill 1001. Probably won't be the same House bill in the future, but we know there's probably going to be some additional requirements that we'll want to revisit. And then also the other piece of it is from a budgetary standpoint, that it would be easier for us to come up with the money to put this into the budget for next year. So if the board would be agreeable with that, then we probably would start the process of interviewing consulting firms in September with the intent of having them on at the first of the year and then start modifying our ordinances and looking at some of the things we've been discussing over the last few months. So with that being said, I think, as Mr. Thomas was nice enough and gave us all some copies to continue to mark up, throw away or whatever we want to do with those, continue to work on those, putting things together and bringing those forward, just so we can continue to get a list, and then when we do get with a consulting firm, we can have some thoughts and things that we definitely want to make sure that we don't miss going through the process. So one of the things that the board did ask, though, so in knowing that we'll move forward, so it did put together a request for proposals. And bear with the dates in here, they are not going to be accurate based upon some of the changes we're currently making, but put this together for the board to have the opportunity to look at these. Copy for everybody. No, here you go. You'll pass that way. So anyway, if you take this back and have the opportunity just to look it over, and see if there's other things you would like to see in there, or you'd like to see something different, we have time to look at those. I've looked at many other ones, that have been done around us, and, also the one we've done a couple in the past, trying to make sure it was comprehensive and included everything that we might want to see in a request for proposals. But, with 9 other sets of eyes taking a look at them, there may be some things that, got missed, something you'd like to see a little bit different. I did try to put a scoring process in there from the standpoint of what we would look at, particular scores for what they presented at the time that we go through the interview process, because we'll have some firms that we'll want to interview as well, or if you have some firms that you think might be interested, make sure that you bring those forward as well. But if everyone would sort of take that, and maybe we can talk a little bit about this more next meeting and get some additional thoughts on it. With that, I don't think that I had anything else. Is the board okay that we delay this process and continue to work on it?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, looks like the consensus is such. So at this particular point, then, we'll look that we will plan on the September-October timeframe of having our list of everyone to put together that we want to reach out and request a proposal for, and then we'll start that interview process during the last quarter with the intent no later than, January 1st, we would have that firm on board that we can start working through everything. Okay. That's all I had, other than thanking all of you for being here, and as usual, being engaged and being prepared for the meeting. With that, I will move on to Mr. Culp, Legal Counsel report.
I don't have anything else at this time.
Okay. At this time, board member comments?
Not that I know if we have to approve this every time, but we usually do.
Yes, sir, we did miss that, didn't we? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hebner. So we need to go back and approve our minutes from February the 11th. We jumped over that when we amended our agenda. Thank you for that catch. Nice catch. So did everyone have an opportunity to look at the minutes? Any changes, corrections? Seeing none, I would look for a motion to approve our minutes as submitted.
Mr. Hebner, Mr. Strong, I would make a motion that we approve the minutes from February 11th, 2026.
Thank you, Mr. Hebner. Looking for a second?
The second, Dennis Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We have a motion and second to approve our February 11th minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hebner. That, any other board member comments? Seeing none, our next Planning Commission meeting will be June 10th here at Town Hall. I'll say tentative at Town Hall, so we never know, we might have something come up we might want to move, but we'll plan on Town Hall anyway. And with that, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. President, Dennis Trump, I move we adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Trump.
Second, Harrison Masani.
Thank you, Mr. Marsani. We have a motion and a second to adjourn our meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.